Hi, this is Miss Arlequin, and today we're going to look at some vocabulary words from our first story, Tuesdays of the Other June. Now, what I'd like you to do first is to take your vocabulary sheet, and for each of our vocabulary words, I want you to write a number which would rate your understanding and knowledge of the word without looking at the definition. So, for example, if you look at the first word, recite, without seeing the definition, do you already know that word? I would give that word a 1 if I've never seen or heard the word before. I would write down a 2 if I've seen or heard it before, but I'm not really sure what it means. A 3 would go for any word that I know and I can define. And a 4 would be for any word that not only do I know it and can define it, but I can use it in a sentence, I can use it in spoken language. I would feel comfortable teaching that word to somebody else. Our first word is recite. Second word is rigid. Third word is torment. Fourth word is adjust. Fifth word is mocked. And the sixth word is devoted. Okay, so now we're going to go through the definitions for each of the words. Make sure you have your vocabulary sheet still in front of you. As we go through each of the vocabulary words, make sure you're writing down the definitions, additional example sentences. You might find that having more than one example will help you in the future when you're reviewing these words. And you can also write down different parts of the word family so you can remember the different ways to write and use this word within sentences. So our first word is recite. Recite is a verb, which means that it is an action word. And when you're reciting something, it means that you're saying it aloud or you're repeating it from memory. An example sentence would be for our final project. We each recited a poem in front of the class. Now, when you look at the example sentence, you might notice that we have a different form of the word. We have recite with an ed at the end, which means that in this sentence, it's being used as a past tense verb. Every morning in AM homeroom, we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. When you look at the first example sentence, you can see that there's a lot of details there that could help someone who doesn't know what the word recite means to figure out the meaning of the word. And all of those details are context clues. When you're writing your own sentences, you want to think about the 5 W's, because including as many of the 5 W's as you can is going to be a good way to include a lot of context clues. Your sentence should explain who, what, where, when, why, and how. In our example sentence, we can see that for our final project tells you why. The we tells you who. Recited is the what, and the word class is telling you where. It's implying, since you're in front of the class, that you're within a classroom. Our next word is rigid. Rigid is an adjective, which means that it is a word that's going to be used to describe nouns, and nouns are people, places, and things. Use the word rigid to describe something that's stiff and not bending. So I was very uncomfortable sitting in the rigid chair. That would make you picture a chair that's possibly made of wood or really hard metal, something that is not going to break easily, that's going to force you to have good posture. Another example sentence would be in Futurama, Bender is a robot who can bend even the most rigid metal beams. Describing the metal beams as rigid is just another way to show you that they're not something that can be bent very easily. Our next word is torment. Torment is a verb. It means to make someone suffer, especially mentally. So a lot of little brothers and sisters really love to torment their older siblings. And sometimes actually the other way around. Sometimes older brothers and sisters like to torment you. Alex was punished for tormenting his little brother. You can see in the example sentence that tormenting is a form or part of the word family of our base word torment. My brother is such a handful. He's always tormenting my mom with his bad behavior. The tormentors wouldn't stop bothering Jason. He was so upset he hid in the corner and cried. So here we have the same base word torment being used in another version. This version of the word is a noun. It's being used to name the group of people who torment others. It still shares the same base definition, though, of torment. If you're a tormentor, you are a person who is tormenting people. Our next word is adjust. Adjust is a verb that means to gradually get used to a new situation. It took me a while to adjust to the cold water in the pool. I have to adjust to that water. I have to get used to how cold it is. Marcia found it difficult to adjust to her new baby brother getting all of the attention. So in this example, you're trying to get used to a change in your home life. The fact that you have a new brother and sister, you might feel a little jealous of them. It's something that you have to adjust or get used to. In the Hunger Games, the tributes have to adjust to the new arena very quickly, otherwise they might end up dead. Now, in addition to the previous definition, which is the one we're going to be using in the story Tuesdays with Other June, adjust also has a second definition. When you adjust something, it could mean to alter or move something because you're trying to achieve a desired result. You're trying to make it fit something. You're trying to make something just right. So an example using that definition would be, it was so cold in the classroom, I asked the teacher if we could adjust the temperature. So in other words, you want to change it. When you alter something, you are changing it. Our next word is the verb mocked. When you are mocking somebody, it means that you're making fun of them. Either you're copying them in order to mock them, or you might be repeating what they're saying, and your motivation would be to make them look stupid. Kevin was afraid he'd be mocked about his new haircut. My dog was wondering if the stuffed dog I brought was meant to mock him. So the dog is wondering if he's being made fun of. I can tell you're mocking me because you're repeating all the things that I am doing. So again, when you're mocking somebody, you're imitating them, you're mimicking them, you are trying to make them feel bad or make fun of them in some way. Our final word is the word devoted. Devoted is an adjective that you would use to describe someone who's strongly committed or loyal to someone or something because you admire them. So you could be devoted to people, you could be devoted to things, you could be devoted to music, to a TV show, to a celebrity, to your family. In this example sentence, Jade is a devoted fan of her city's baseball team. And you can tell that this family in the picture is devoted because they're completely covered in all kinds of Packers football jerseys, hats, foam fingers. They really love their team. In the movie Toy Story, Andy is very devoted to Woody, and Woody is very devoted to Andy. As you can see in this clip, they do everything together. One of the reasons Andy's so devoted to Woody is because Woody is his favorite toy. He loves him more than any of the other toys, so he is devoted to him. Alright, so now it's time to put into practice what you've learned. For each of the vocabulary words, write your own example sentence. Make sure your sentence uses the word properly, so you want to pay attention to the part of speech. Make sure you're using verbs as verbs, adjectives as adjectives. And you want to make sure that your sentences have enough context clue details so someone who doesn't know the word could guess at the meaning. So again, I'm going to remind you to think about the 5 W's. In your sentences, have you explained who, what, where, when, why, and how? It's not that every sentence has to have all the 5 W's, but the more of the 5 W's that you include is more of a guarantee that your sentence will have a good number of details. Good luck, and don't forget to bring your sentences to class tomorrow.